From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? I'm Aslan. He's Corey. Welcome into this live edition of Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Promo code's Warchant15. Check out the tumbler. Use the bundle. All that kind of good stuff over at DeLunaCoffee.com. Got my cold brew in here, drinking coffee, 6 in the afternoon, evening, because got to find some hope. Corey, are you going to provide hope for me and the folks watching at home?
Yeah, I'm going to try, man. I'm going to try to hopefully I've turned the corner. Yesterday was rock bottom for me emotionally, and I'm going to turn the corner and start being more positive and more of a productive member of the Warchant team.
That's funny you say that. Somebody tweeted at us, Wake Up Warchant, Woody Cumbie. Wake Up Warchant's gone off the rails. When Aslan is the positive voice, you know it's bad. Was that positive yesterday? Sorry. Well,
you weren't, but I was the negative. I was the more negative of the two. So I get it, man. I get it. I'm trying.
Pillar Mark says, impressive that the Warchant staff can keep us entertained after Saturday. Let's hope for a different discussion after Wake.
Man, that would be sweet.
We're trying.
That would be sweet.
All right, so they practiced today. We got to speak to Mike Norvell as well as Jarvis Brownlee, which I did. I think you wrote a story up on him. Did you, Corey?
I did not. No.
Was it Austin? Did Austin do it?
I don't know, man. Why don't you look at our site? It was either Austin or Ira. One of the two knocked it out because I didn't feel I had a bit of a headache this morning waiting for stuff, so I fell asleep, and by the time I woke up, it had already been written.
Anyhow, Jarvis, Ira did it. Obviously, Ira does everything. Ira Schofel, everybody. Follow him on Twitter, Ira Schofel, all one word. But so we spoke to Brownlee, we spoke to Mackenzie Milton, we spoke to Mike Norvell. Man, we did a bad job on the beat for y'all. I gotta stop trying to get the video up so quick. I need to stay at my perch and ask questions. We got Mackenzie Milton. We didn't even speak to him for 4 whole minutes. I don't know what's going on out there, everybody. We got to get better at our jobs. But nonetheless, we spoke to those two gentlemen as well as head coach Mike Norvell. There's nothing he could say to make anybody feel better. Ira, I think, pointed that out quite astutely earlier in the week over on warchant.com. No real big revelations, no big developments. Jordan Travis still with the team, everybody. I know he deleted his Twitter. I don't know if his Twitter was back up or not, but he was out there practicing, running around, doing things, bouncing around, doing things possibly, I guess you could say. But spoke to Mackenzie and just like, hey, man, like you've never been to this place before, like being 0-2. And he's like, I can't remember last time. He's like, I don't think I've ever been 0-2 in my life. He's like, but, hey, we're going to try bounce back. And so he's got a nice outlook on things. He's probable, I would think, maybe your starter with the depth chart, removing that or designation. So, did ask him and Norvell just about how do you, when you don't see things in practice, but you still have to go to it in the game, which was kind of my code of like your guys' receivers still aren't catching the ball consistently in practice, nor in games. They're not winning one-on-one situations in practice or games. How do you kind of fight through that? And they really had no good answer for it. So we'll see what happens Saturday. Wake Forest, you'll be there with Ira, right? You're both going to be there. We got 4 boots on the ground, actually.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be on the hill. We're going to take the hill if Florida State happens to come up with a dub. Ira and I are going to try to shoot our post game from Snuggy Hill, and maybe plant something there. We'll figure it out. But hopefully they win, and we'll have a more positive wrap up than we did this past Saturday. But yeah, I was wondering. How did Brownlee sound?
I didn't speak to him. That was Austin's designation.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he wore. I did hear him talk about like he's got to make that play. Big time players make big time plays.
I saw that quote. Yeah.
So, apparently he was dealing with some serious grief before the game too, like real life stuff, not like grief from fans or social media, internet message boards. So, good on him for, I guess. I mean, he didn't have to get up in front of people. I mean, it's been like 3 days now, so we've tried to move on. I don't really think he needed to answer anything. We saw what happened. I don't really know what he could have done to explain himself, but the fact that he did decide to go in front of the cameras and speak about
it. I do want to address that. Again, it doesn't win any games on Saturday. I get it. You're rolling your eyes probably thinking about it, but that does say something. That's the worst football play Jarvis Brownlee's ever been a part of, and one that could live in infamy. Will live in infamy no matter how the season goes out. He'll always be remembered. Sadly, hopefully he ends up winning a Thorpe Award here, and it'll be like the catapult for a great career. But he'll always be remembered for that. That was an awful moment for him, and it's big time to come out and talk to the media when you're asked for. He could have said no. They don't push these guys in front of us. They don't make them do it. They ask them to do it, and I thought it was cool of him and stand up of him to come out and talk about it. I didn't think he needed to. I don't think we asked for him because it keeps reliving the play, and we kind of want to get past it. Again, I'd rather talk to Adam Fuller than him, but it was cool that, again, Adam Fuller, but again, it was cool that Jarvis was willing to do it.
Derek Porter over on Facebook. So we just throw the kid under the bus, but not the coach who didn't have enough sense to call a prevent play.
Man, I hope you have. Derek, I love you, buddy. You haven't been listening to our show because I've been throwing everybody under the bus, but Mike Norvell was first for allowing it to happen. Adam Fuller was second. Jarvis Brownlee, he's number 5 or 6 on the list of people that deserve blame for that, in my eyes.
I see a lot of so we're going to blame players now. And
well, that's allowed.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. There's a certain point where there's certain things listen, love Keyshawn Helton, great human being. We've had some really great stories that we've done them on our website. He's literally, every time you see him, he's got just a great guy to be around. Man, he dropped the pass at you. How is that Mackenzie Milton's fault? How is that Jordan Travis' fault? How is that Kenny Dillingham's fault?
Right.
Now, Kenny Dillingham did a bunch of weird stuff that night. The running back rotation, which they've sort of kind of brushed off as something that wasn't an issue, which clearly was. That's a problem. But yeah, man, listen, these guys, sometimes the players have to make some plays in situations. The Brownlee wasn't the easiest game-ending situation, but it was something I'm sure that he would have felt good about. If you would have told him Saturday in the locker room, hey, man, there's going to be a ball coming your way, final play of the game, you're going to have some safety help behind you. All you got to do is get the guy on the ground. How do you feel about that? I don't think Jarvis Brownlee would say, Coach, you know what? I don't feel comfortable. Can we get more, so.
Yeah, he clearly didn't play the play well. The crux of the matter, though, is his coaches did not put him in a good position, in my opinion, to succeed, and that's on the coaches. The coaches also, look, man, giving up 20 points should be enough when you're playing an FCS school. You should have beat him by 3 touchdowns. Jarvis Brownlee is way down on the list of reasons they lost that game. The fact that it even came down to a 4th and 60 play is on Dillingham and Norvell and what they were doing with the offense. And then Adam Fuller and Norvell, whatever they decided that final play call was just baffling. So, no, Brownlee, it's not like he's blameless. Yeah, he could have made the play, just like Jamie Robinson isn't blameless. You don't have to stop running, dude. Or Sidney Williams, for that matter. He overran it. All these guys could have made the play, but they were not put in a great, the best position to succeed by their coaching staff, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Let's go over to the Tribal Council, warchant.com, 85 Noel. Let's see how long he's been around. He's been around, whoa, look at that, since 2002. Thank you, 85 Noel. 19 years, man. That's amazing.
Nice.
He's not happy, though. I understand. With all of our access, sources, insight, and reporting firepower, why won't you tell us what is really going on with the quarterbacks? What's going on with Travis? Is he hurt? Is he mad? Is he not good enough? I bet you know. Don't save it for the Norvell Chronicles.
That's solid. That's a good look, man.
Can I say it real quick?
Sure, go for it. You take it.
They are really, and they do have a legitimate sort of opinion on this. They have a legitimate concern. There is a competitive advantage for them if the opposition does not know who the starting quarterback is going to be clear cut. If they were to hear Wake Forest that Mackenzie Milton has not practiced at all this week, they would know that means Jordan Travis is playing and there's a certain way they have to defend him. And then vice versa. If Jordan Travis couldn't practice all week, that means so there is a competitive advantage that we understand they're trying to hold on to as much as they can. At the same time, they have been transparent with us, and they haven't, to this point, led us or misled us in any sort of way. So if you can maybe find a balance between what we're telling you in terms of what they want for competitive advantage, but they are they've been transparent to us, and Ira mentioned it on the boards, where there's nothing for us to believe. There's no reason to believe there's a problem with Jordan Travis and his future at Florida State. So there's the transparency of that, and there's a competitive advantage of us not telling you every single snap that's happening. So I hope that makes some sense. I don't know, Cord, did it clarify?
Well, sure, but also like there's nothing going on with it. They think that Mackenzie Milton is their starting quarterback, and he gives them the best chance to win. He's practiced every practice the last 2 weeks since the Notre Dame game. They think he's the starting quarterback. They named him the starting quarterback. I think what's going on with Travis is they clearly don't think he's as good as Milton. I don't think he's hurt. Certainly not hurt enough. I mean, they gave him the ball as a running back. So if he was hurt, and they also let him throw the ball 50 yards downfield for an incompletion. So I don't think there's anything being hurt. He could be mad, but that's not something we would know about. But he's on the team and he's practicing. So right now it feels like there's just a pecking order, and it's Milton 1, Travis 2. I think that's as simple as that. In August, one guy, you know who it was, wasn't out there as much as the other guy. And that's why Jordan Travis started against Notre Dame. But now everything seems to be equal, and they have Milton listed as the starter. This game, I think, will say a lot about the future of that position this season. If Jordan Travis doesn't get on the field at all this game, and they put up another 17, 20 points or struggle to make plays in the passing game, and he still can't see the field, then I think you know that they don't feel Jordan Travis is a part of their plans for this season. That's fair, right?
But we saw him put 28 points up on Notre Dame. So
no, but I mean that clearly didn't sway them enough to start him against Jacksonville State. And then they didn't even put him in the game when the offense did absolutely nothing the whole second half. Even after McKenzie threw a pick, they still didn't put him in the game. If they don't put him in the game this week when he's available, then feel like they're telling us what we need to know about who they want to play quarterback.
They've also made a grave error then. I'm all in with Mackenzie Milton, but if Mackenzie Milton only can score 17 points against Wake Forest while Jordan Travis is on the bench the whole time, they screwed up. And I'll admit
maybe, yeah. It could have been a very big miscalculation. We'll see.
Marlon from Miami, stay strong down there, Marlon. I can't, maybe Michigan State will take out Miami this weekend. Maybe it'll quiet down the Canes a little bit.
That's a cool game. That's a cool interconference game. Just like Auburn and Penn State. That's a cool game.
I keep hearing about this climb. Now I'm wondering, what is the climb that we're climbing? Everest? Fuji? Vesuvius?
Yeah.
It's
well, look,
it's a little bit longer than a little more steep of a climb than I think maybe even I don't know, man. I don't really know. Is he surprised?
If we're saying that it's Everest, I thought if we go with the Everest example, I thought they were at least at like base camp. And they had like a couple of weeks. They had to go to camp 1, camp 2, and then you get to that camp 4, which is when you make the ascent to the top. I thought they were at least at base camp, and they were a couple of weeks away and, climbing, the climbing analogy of reaching the top. Now I feel like they've just landed on their plane. Their plane has landed in Nepal, and they're taking a bus to the very bottom of the mountain and figuring out what Sherpas they're going to roll with. That was how rough that game was on Saturday night. But look, this game could turn. It won't completely erase what happened Saturday. Nothing could, but it could really change our perceptions again. I don't want to do this. I don't want to keep going back and forth. Hey, they look great. Oh my gosh, the program's over. Oh, they beat Wake. Now they're great again. But it would be a very, very good sign if they go up there and get a W against probably a bowl team. I mean, we don't think Wake is great, but they're a bowl team probably. They got a decent quarterback. They got a good coach. It's a road game. If you can go up there and play well and win, there's no telling what it would do to the confidence of that team.
In the Win says, take the hill and our self-respect. #
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Thank you, In the Wind. We do appreciate it. Troy's asking, am I the only one going to Wake or am I the only idiot? You're not, Troy. Stop that. You're not. There'll be plenty of Nole fans in there, I'm sure. Trying to get everybody psyched up for the game.
You're not the only idiot, Troy. I'll be there. Ira will be there. Bill from Quarter Pocket. I said he's going with his buddy. Yeah. So there'll be some Noles there, man. There'll be some Noles to cheer on that big dub.
Levi, hey guys, what's going on with the upperclassmen guys that came in during Jimbo and Willie, like the Kalen Brooks, Jaleel McRae, Javion McCluster? What's up with that?
I mean,
injuries. I think DeCallan, I think was banged up a little bit, but
he's out there though. He's practicing.
Yeah.
You look, man. They're not good enough, I guess, is how you'd put it. Like Jaleel McRae was running scout team for Notre Dame week. I haven't really paid attention the last couple times I've been out there, but I guess they're just not. They don't feel like they're good enough. And you can't cut a kid, but it's not. They're not really a part of their plans on the defense.
Eric Angel's here, everybody. $25 into the jar, Eric. Thank you. You don't have to do that. We do appreciate it, though.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, buddy.
What's up, Aslan and Ultra Corey? Let's get all the pillars together, give our Seminoles a pep talk, and have Ed distribute DeLuna coffee to wake up our Noles and coaches. Beat Wake, see a Louisville game possibly. Look at this guy, man. Relentless. Going to come back down for the Louisville game. Good for you, Eric. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I think Ira, if anybody had to give a pep talk to the team, would Ira be the best one to do it, or should we give it to you? Give you some ultras and some DeLuna?
Yeah, give me some ultras, maybe a shot of DeLuna to get a little amped up. And then, because nobody knows the history of this program like I do. And I could give my my Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday, Sammy Ball, I could Peter Warwick, Marvin Jones. I could talk about their forefathers, the people that built the program, and maybe that would get through to them. So I feel like I could do that. I could be like, look, you're allowed to beat good teams, and then I would just walk out of the locker room.
Shout out to In the Win 2, Fighting the Good Fight. As Miami fans ask whether or not we'll win 5 games, he asked, will you guys ever win the conference? I'm asking for you. He says that in response to a Miami fan. Good job, In the Wind. Fight the good fight. We can only do so much all around the show. I can't do 10 things at the same time here. All right, we got plenty of other stuff here in the hopper. Hey, Josh Hayslip, ask a question, man. He tweets at us often. He's got a spear. It looks pretty sweet, too. But, Josh, post your question below, man. We'll get to it. I promise you.
Old Hayes dog. Thanks, man. We appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Old Hayes. There we go. Here's a pillar, everybody. He's all right. They're not backing down. What up, Mark? $50 from Naples. Corey, there's a hilarious thread on the Tribal Council about Clarkisms. Aslan, what's your favorite? Mine, Mark says, are Heavens the Betsy. And it's allowed. You just did
it again. That's my go-to. And just for clarification, it's Heavens to Betsy.
Yeah.
At least that's how I say it. I might be completely messing it up, but that's how I grew up saying it was Heavens to Betsy. What's yours, Aslan?
I don't know. Mark pointed out the thread, you saying naked.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's a Clarkism, though.
Yeah, that's just a dumb Southern accent. My son makes fun of me for that.
I think just your angst at not being able to break a tackle. Like, you're on scholarship. You can break a tackle. It's allowed. The it's allowed. It's not a bad one, Mark. It's not a bad one, man. Let's see here. Keep scrolling through all this sort of stuff. Nole Nation 41. Why the Wildcat with a running back when you have Jordan Travis? Seems like such a waste only having the running back taking the snap.
I completely missed this narrative. I found out yesterday doing headlines that people are just done with the Wildcat.
Yes, they are.
But it was so good to him last year. I mean, good to him relatively, right? You won 3 games, but they picked up a lot of short yardage in the Wildcat. And to that point, Kenny Dillingham did talk about it on Monday because he was asked about it. I don't even know if he was asked about it. I think he just started talking about it. Like maybe he heard the rumblings, and he's like, "Look, it takes an extra hat out of there for us, or it gives us an extra hat to block." And the quarterback's out there by himself. And it eliminates, he goes, if McKenzie was the quarterback, and even if he was under center, he would just be turning and handing it off to Jashawn anyway. This just eliminates that and gets it to Jashawn quicker. Which, sure, man, I get. But the point about that Nole Nation is making is a solid one. If, as long as Travis can stay healthy, I'd certainly rather have Corbin and Travis back there. You have two options to run the ball. They don't know who to key on, as opposed to just one guy. But man, Corbin was very, very good in short yardage last year, and they scored the touchdown that Milton had against Notre Dame was Treshaun Ward out of the Wildcat. So it has worked for him in the past. It just, I'll say this. If I'm the coach at Florida State and it's 3rd and a foot to get a first down against Jacksonville State and wrap up the game, I'm not snapping it to someone 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I'll put Wyatt Rector under center and have him take the snap and lean forward to get to the 45-yard line and in the game. As it was, you snapped it to a guy 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He couldn't even get to the first. He couldn't get back to the line of scrimmage, and you ended up losing the game. In that instance, in the middle of the field, I'm all about the QB sneak, man, and have Corbin come and push him from behind. It's Wyatt Rector. You're not worried about hurting Mackenzie Milton's ribs. Go make sure you get get this much. So in that regard, third and inch, fourth and an inch, sure, do a QB sneak. 3rd and 2, I don't really have a problem with Corbin doing a Wildcat or Travis and Corbin being back there together. Or have Corbin with Ward at least. Have there be another option that they have to key on.
Yeah, there you go. Khalil's here, everybody. What up, Khalil? It's been a minute. A little bit of that. Hope we get a dub this weekend. Thank you, Khalil. We really
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Khalil.
Hope we get a win this weekend. I've been depressed this week. Why does it feel like we sold our soul for the last national championship?
Man, well, look. So it wasn't just you won 29 games in a row. You were Darth Vader of college football there, especially in 2014. After the New York Times story came out, you were the Darth Vader of college football. You still won all your games barely, especially that 2014 season. That's where I'd wonder if you sold your soul. Like all those games were close, and you had the deflection in Miami that Carlos Williams catches for a touchdown, and you had some other stuff that happened. You recovered a fumble in the end zone against Louisville when you're down 21-0. So, but then even after that season, you start out 2015 without Jameis. You're like 6 or 7-0. You're number 3 in the country, and then you go play Georgia Tech. And ever since that Georgia Tech game, it's like something flipped with the program. I know they came back and had an okay season in 2016 with like one of the best running backs of all time. But man, that 15 Georgia Tech game seemed to flip something. It's like the football gods were angry, and they let Georgia Tech get their only ACC win of the year, and then Florida State just has not been the same since. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if Jimbo went to a crossroads. Robert Johnson was playing the guitar there, and Jimbo made some deal with the devil after that NC State game or after that Florida game in 2012. But yeah, it's been a lot of weird, bad, horrific luck and decisions in the last 4 or 5 years.
Thank you again, Khalil. Appreciate it. Here's a get down or lay down. Shout out. A little bit of that. By the way, Corey, he messaged me or emailed me. Apparently, I guess that was part of his squad. He's military, and that was one of the sayings they had, I guess, like when it came time to, get busy.
Oh, get down or lay down did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense.
When does Coach Ron Dugan start getting heat for his unit underperforming? Brian Robinson has been consistently absent. Pokey and Helton aren't looking like polished veterans. Jordan Young hasn't made an impact. What gives?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I would assume if it keeps looking like this throughout the course of the year, that's when it'll start, because it's just, you can't tell me there isn't some talent there, and there's just not dudes getting a lot of separation. And then, again, it's not Coach Ron Dugan doesn't tell these guys to drop the ball, but what is he doing? Like Malik McClain, and this is a perfect example. So we've been out at practice. We've watched Malik McClain on these fades. Ira more than us, but we've all watched it. He has a real hard time landing in bounds. It's like he's a freshman. I think he's going to be great or very good, but he hasn't figured out necessarily the width of the football field or to come down in bounds. He's young. He'll get better at that. So, why then are you calling that play in that spot? And why is that happening? Why in that moment does he land? Because he's out of bounds, right? Like it looked like he caught it. He ended up catching it, but he ended up catching it 2 yards out of bounds. Now I know it's a fade, but keep your body in the field of play. He also had another catch or another attempt to him. I think it was the Notre Dame game. It might have been this game where he was 2 yards out of bounds. It's like, man, we got that stuff is sloppy. And it's been look, if linebacker coaches can get grief for the way they perform, if Odell catches all that grief for the way the defensive tackles performed last year, then yeah, Dugans is certainly ripe to be criticized for the way his unit is performing, because it is not performing well. Again, I don't know how much of that is him not teaching them how to make cuts properly, or maybe they're just not all that good. But something has to change in that unit. And you're right, Brian Robinson, don't know.
he wasn't available for large parts.
He's out there now, though, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, Burrell's a guy that was ahead of him. Malik McLean's a guy that was ahead of him. Kentron Portier's a guy that was ahead of him. And we've seen them slide down the depth chart, if you will. And Brian hasn't made a jump. But, again, McKenzie hasn't maybe looked all that sharp in practice, and he's found himself the starting quarterback.
Well,
so
when it comes, Jordan Young was just a miss. Now, I don't want to be. I'm not trying to be rude or mean. He's certainly a better athlete than I could ever dream of being, but he was a miss in that recruiting class. He's not up to the Florida State standard. At least not. Hey, Jordan, prove me wrong, buddy. Go win the Bolitnikoff next year, but he does not show the ability to be a very good. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Microphone just fell down. Sorry, everyone. To be a Florida State starter.
Good thing we're not having you use that microphone, Corey. It all worked out all right. Or maybe it would have been a little more cognizant if you would. John Spear, it's a pretty simple question that, I don't know, I think we've talked about it in a roundabout way, but what changed with the quarterbacks between Notre Dame and Jacksonville State? I thought we were going to see a couple series with Mackenzie Milton, then a couple with Travis, and kind of go back and forth until you saw a hot hand. I think it continues. Then why did Travis start against Notre Dame if he's so bad? Again, what changed so much in one game? Corey throws his hands up. I don't get it. Again, I assume this is what I'm thinking. The way they saw Mackenzie Milton finish off that game against Notre Dame, they thought to themselves, man, if he would have started, he probably would have figured out a way to get the ball out of his hands and move this offense down in the first half to where we would not have been down 18 points. Which I don't know. I guess that takes stuff away from Jordan Travis, but I'm not trying to take anything away from Jordan Travis. And then I think, all right, Jacksonville State, we're going to go and we're going to be cute. We're going to put stuff on film that shows both of them doing crazy stuff. So Wake Forest can't sleep at night. And then ends up biting us in the rear end. But part of it might be pride coming before the fall, hubris, as I think you said on headlines, Corey, that now it's like, all right, we don't want to revert back and be like, all right, we lost the FCS Jacksonville State team, starting a quarterback that we don't have any faith in any longer. Oops. So I think this is like, now they're at a point where they kind of had to double down on him, and they are doubling down on it.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I don't quite understand that decision. I hope McKenzie has a remarkable year and a great year. I thought Jordan Travis would start against Jacksonville State, and I thought they'd give McKenzie Milton some series and go from there. And, again, not because I think Jordan Travis is better than McKenzie Milton. I think he's a better chance to score points. He gives you a better chance to score points as long as he's healthy than McKenzie Milton does with the way these receivers catch the ball or not get open. But they, what's bizarre to me when you look at it, when you do a 30,000 foot view of it is, again, if Jordan Travis wasn't going to come out of that game at all, if his helmet doesn't get knocked off. Now, once he was cramping up, but he was in the game after they worked on his leg for a cramp. He ran another play, and then his helmet got knocked off, and then they brought McKenzie Milton in the game. So that coaching staff was not going to play McKenzie Milton at all. Just wasn't going to do it. He has two really nice throws. That's it. But he had two really nice throws against Notre Dame. He completed 5 passes for 38 yards. It wasn't staggering, but they were really nice throws. He let him down and got him a touchdown. It was such a small sample size, though, that like those 2 drives, because they went 3 and out in overtime. Those 2 drives were enough. You believe so much in Jordan Travis that you were going to play him the entire game against Notre Dame. And then those 2 drives were like, you know what? Never mind. Jordan Travis isn't our starter. McKenzie Milton is, because of those 2 drives, one of which ended in a field goal. And again, it was a Notre Dame defense that wasn't the same defense in the first quarter. They were backed up. They were tired. There were a lot of things that were different. That's just bizarre to me. I'm not saying, why not start McKenzie Milton then against Notre Dame? And if Jordan Travis was your starter against Notre Dame, what did he do that just gets him completely off the field? Other than, he
couldn't finish the game for you. He didn't perform well in the first half. And
right.
you saw a kid that that's torched you before in the past, show glimpses of that again, and you probably want to capture it. It was a gamble. And It did not pay, and it failed miserably.
Yeah, and again, I think they're thinking. Ira brought this point up, and it's probably true. Their thinking at that time was, "Wow, we're better than we thought we were. Maybe we just put up 18 in a row against Notre Dame. They weren't unanswered, but 18 straight against Notre Dame. Maybe we can get to 8 or 9 wins this year. Maybe we will be good enough to do that." I think they think their ceiling is only so high with Jordan Travis at quarterback, which I probably agree with. I do agree with that. Probably, I don't think he's a guy that's going to light up a good defense and put 28 on the 35 on the board against Clemson or Florida. But he would beat Jacksonville State. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
He did. He did it last year. He put up 41 points on him in 2.5 quarters. So that was I think they were thinking long term with McKenzie Milton for this season. Like, if we're going to do something special, it probably needs to be 10 at quarterback. Meanwhile, you risk what happened on Saturday because you can't throw the ball that well yet.
And let's move on quickly here. I mean, I'll give you 30 more seconds, but how much of it was the way they did play against Notre Dame to where they probably did think, all right, we maybe can win 9 or 10 games if McKenzie's our starter and he's going to do well. Like they saw the way this team played against Notre Dame and they thought if we had a little bit better quarterback play, this wasn't a blind guess. There was some tinder there for it to get lit on fire by the way they played against Notre Dame. So I think that changed their calculus.
Probably. And for all we know, their plan was, let's let McKenzie get, 6 of the 7 drives in the first half. Hopefully we're up by 3 scores, and then Jordan can play more in the second half, and but the game was so close, they never got any separation that, they didn't feel like making the change, which again, McKenzie probably should have led him to 30 points. Helton drops the wide open touchdown. Jordan Wilson doesn't make a throw on the middle of the field. So there are, it wasn't like Milton was awful. It's just, it's odd how they've handled the quarterback so far. So now maybe they know who their guy is and they're just going to ride with him.
There's Josh, by the way. Just didn't want to ask a question. Just want to throw money out and say that it's his first time watching the show. He loves it. Keep producing awesome content.
That's all we do, Josh. That's all we know how to do. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it, man.
All right. Somebody was getting a little. Oh gosh, there's so many comments. Holy smokes, man! I'm like 3.5 hours behind here. But people are like, isn't this the Wake Forest week? Can we talk about Wake Forest? So John Scott asked, why does anyone think we can beat Wake this weekend? Corey, why can we beat Wake Forest this week?
I mean, you took Notre Dame to overtime. You scored 18 in a row in the fourth quarter against them. You ran for 260 yards against Notre Dame and ran for over 200. Yeah, I mean, you still can beat anybody left on the schedule besides, I don't know, Florida probably falls into that category. Besides Clemson and Florida, because they're both on the road and fine. But what Saturday proved is you can lose to anyone, literally anyone. That's on the table too. But it is still the same guys that played against Notre Dame. That is still the same team that we were all excited about. It's a matter of seeing it, them producing that. I think, look, they're a 5.5 point underdog. They're not 30 point. They're not a 30 point underdog. So they can beat Wake. Wake is not anything special, but they can also lose to Wake, and there's a chance they could lose badly to Wake, depending on how they go out and take the field on Saturday. But Wake, look, man, Wake is Wake. It's not like you'll be completely out talented against them. You don't have worlds of talent more than they do. The rosters are pretty even. You might have a few more NFL players, but maybe not, especially not maybe on the offensive line. I don't know. But they're not unbeatable. This Florida State team can beat Wake. It can beat Louisville. It can beat Syracuse. It could beat NC State. It can also lose to everyone.
Those are the stats on your screen right there. That is Wake Forest. The problem here about trying to dive too much into Wake Forest, who they are and what they can be, is the fact that they've played Old Dominion and Norfolk State.
Right. You can't learn anything from that, really. Last year, their defense was horrific at the end of the year. It was awful. But that was last year. They are not very good defensively. I don't think they're going to be good defensively, but I think they will move the ball. They have a pretty good quarterback, and they have a unique kind of style of offense. So a good test, man. But yeah, Wake isn't unbeatable. Like John, Wake can be got, just like Notre Dame could have been got. Heck, Florida State was only one play away from beating Jack State.
Yeah, John, just to echo Corey's sort of sentiment, I just feel like we assume this is probably going to be a high-scoring game, or we hope. I think that's the path forward for Florida State to win football games. They're going to have to score in the 30s. Not because the defense is bad, but just I don't see them, with game pressure being applied, I don't see them winning a 24-17 game. Those aren't the kind of games I see them winning. I see them winning like a 38-35 track meet because they get the ball last, or maybe they learned from their lessons against Jacksonville State and they know now how to defend against the final drive. So And again, man, they've played 2 games. They feel much better about themselves than Florida State does, but the competition, Jacksonville State's a little bit better than Norfolk State, and Notre Dame's obviously much better than Old Dominion. So that's
looks like Wake is struggling in the punt game. Only 37 net. Maybe the Noles can take advantage of that.
Well, third down conversion defense is not well. I mean, their teams are converting nearly 62% on them. So, let's go. Golly, it's so hard to. So many people want to ask questions. It's I'm trying to pull them up, but then it just scrolls down. And you're listening to this on a podcast. You don't care. It's fine. I get it. Let's see. Jeremy's in the house. Can we use the term no toe to go along with Jagon?
Look. I hope people don't think that I've given up on Toafili. Sometimes you don't play well. I think he has a chance to be a good player, a very good player. He was not their best option on Saturday night. And hopefully I would hope they would learn their lesson there, in the sense that I don't care what you plan to do before the game, that you want to give these guys a rotation and give them equal reps. And they kind of did. It was like 37 to 29 to 29 with the 3 running backs. Jayshon Corbin went almost 45 minutes without touching the football in real time. That's crazy to me when you're in a game. He's averaging 7-8 yards a carry. Maybe it doesn't come down to that last drive if Jayshon Corbin gets a couple extra carries. Who knows? He was running well. He was running hard. He was getting extra yards, something that Toafili did not do against Jacksonville State, but will do in the future. So that was you are allowed to go with the hot hand. You are allowed. Okay, this guy's playing really well. Sorry, Lawrence. I promise we'll get you on the field more. But right now we got to go with the 2 guys that are actually getting us first downs. Well said, and it's Sean gone, by the way, because it's both of them. It's Trayshawn and Jayshawn.
Judd Smith's here, everybody. Give it up for Judd. Hey guys, thank you, Judd. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Judd.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. If we lose this weekend at Wake, do we keep running Mackenzie Milton out there for the rest of the year, or do we go youth with Travis or maybe Chubba? Also think it's about time to fire Fuller.
Oh, all right.
Somebody was asking about Chubba. Yeah, we're probably a year away on that at best, I would think. Chubba just it makes him, it's up and down inconsistent, and when he has to run the ball, he doesn't seem to make the best decision on the route to run. Like, he can go here and probably get 15 yards, but he decides to run it around and only get 3. So that's a little bit problematic, I would think, in the flow of a game. He might be like a poor man's McKenzie, though, where he just is going to probably play a little bit better during a game as opposed to practice.
Well, in his only real game time, I mean, I know he played the whole second half against Pitt, and it was gross, and he played some against Louisville, but and that was grosser. But NC State, when he started, and he knew he was going to be the starter, that second half, he took a nice little leap. It's just something about game experience matters so much more than any of the practice stuff. And it'll be interesting to see with him because I don't think he's part of their plans this year necessarily, unless some health things happen. But I'm not ready to give up on him either. Like, he might be a guy that just shines when it matters. He might just be that guy. He might run harder. Right? I mean, he's wearing a green jersey, so it's hard to know what he's doing running the ball anyway. And he's got a perfectly good arm. It's just, like Aslan said, in practice, you're not blown away by him. But it ain't like any of these guys are blowing us away in practice. So we'll see. I'm not ready to give up on him. He might get some work this year, especially seeing how the rest of the season goes out. But I was encouraged by what he did in the second half of that NC State game. That was a well quarterback half. And that was, that first half, you could tell they kind of hamstrung him a little bit. In the second half, they kind of took the training wheels off, and I thought he made a real step. And maybe he's just one of those guys that's better in a game.
I think for sure that's the case with him. I think he'll play up to not the level of competition, but the pressure and the stress around him. And not to say that practice isn't pressure and stressful, but it's obviously a little bit different. The biggest thing with him right now that I see is, like, when they'll go to 7-on-7, there's too many reps where he won't throw it. Like, he does not see anything in 7-on-7. Listen, sometimes everybody's covered.
Right.
But most of the time there's something open, and there's a lot of hole in the ball. And then, all right, next guy comes up, and it's like, all right, man, we got to figure out where we got to go with the ball. That said, first part of the question, if they lose to Wake, do they keep running Milton out there? I mean, if he looks the way they did against Jacksonville State, yeah, it's curtains, I would think, at least in the short term, until Jordan Travis probably gets hurt again, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, no, if they score 30, if they lose, I don't want to say the way against Notre Dame. Listen, man, if he goes out there and completes 65% of his passes and doesn't turn the ball over and gets a couple touchdowns, but they don't win, right? Like, if he's part of the problem, yes, they'll sit him down. But if he's not part of the reason they lose to Wake Forest, they'll still ride with him, I would assume. Because, again, they've doubled down on him, and there's really no turning back unless he gives you reason to
Yeah, you answered it. It's how it would be the law. It would be how it looked, how the offense looked. And again, it doesn't mean that Milton can't play quarterback. It doesn't mean that Jordan Travis is better than him. It means that Jordan Travis can maybe give you a few more opportunities for big plays because of what he can do with his legs than Milton did. And maybe for this year, especially with an offensive line, number one, your receivers aren't getting open. It's not like he's throwing to Jerry Rice and John Taylor. So your receivers aren't getting open, number one, and your offensive line is not going to hold up in pass protection against good defensive lines. Not with Lucas is now gone, not that he was great at that anyway. And then probably your two best pass blockers besides DLT, we don't know their health status. Maurice Smith and Robert Scott, who knows? They might play, they might not, but they're not healthy. So that your offensive line isn't even what you thought it was going to be when the season started.
Hey, there's James B, everybody. James B. We were listening. This is why I do not like shouting out people that we met, because we forget people invariably, and we forgot James B. James B is a pillar. His name is right there.
Nice.
Lift it up a little bit so you guys can actually see it, but it's right there. So yeah, he's a real human being. He's a real pillar. We appreciate him. Thank you, James. He simply says, I put myself on the PUP list this week, physically unable to perform. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, James.
I hung out with him and Shane and Michelle at a tailgate for before the game on Saturday night. I don't know, for 30 minutes or an hour. Stephanie had some friends in town, and they came over and said hello. I was not partaking. Don't worry, folks. I don't want you to think I'm having a drink before games now. But yeah, it was a good time. It was good to see them again, and I think they were supposed to meet up with Stephanie after the game, but then the game happened and nobody wanted to go do anything, which I completely understand.
Josh is back. Is it him, or does it seem like Wyatt Rector has the best hands on the team?
Hey man, he's caught everything that's been thrown to him so far. So yeah, maybe. Who knows, man?
I just got an email, Corey, and I don't have a photo of it on the telecast, but I got an email saying that apparently your Maryland's going to be a problem shirt was on the telecast the other night. I guess somebody was actually wearing that.
Oh, really?
Cameras flashed to them. So.
Oh, nice. That's cool. That's right. Maryland would be a problem this year.
All right. Let's see what else we got here.
For the people that don't know, while Aslan's looking it up, on Seminole Headlines before the Maryland game in 2013, I said I think Maryland could be a problem because they had a good defense and they had two really good wide receivers, including Stephon Diggs. And Florida State had just struggled with Boston College. Well, let's remember that too now. Like, they had given up a bunch of points to Boston College on some throwback nonsense. And I'm like, look, now Maryland could be a problem. And Ira and Jeff made fun of me as I said it. It wasn't like hindsight. They made fun of me in the moment. And then Florida State beat Maryland 63-0. So the shirt is Maryland could be a problem in quotes, Corey Clark, Seminole Headlines. And on the back is the box score. So there you go.
There's our guy from Daytona. It's Jay. Let's stop using Notre Dame as a barometer. They beat Toledo with 1 minute left. Also, Nebraska is 2-1, so let's throw away that talking point too. Just saying. By the way, Corey, if we were a good running team, we could get 1 yard.
I mean, Nebraska is 2-1 against Buffalo. I mean, I know what Florida State just did, but let's see what Nebraska ends up at the end of the year before we start doing what Aslan did last year with who was it, Arkansas? Or Ole Miss, when they played well to start the season. Let's see how it all ends up. Same with Notre Dame.
Well, this week, I mean, I don't know. So I don't know if you guys said on headlines or somebody said on the message boards, and I don't know who I stole it from. So attribution to you, I apologize. We'll find out Saturday which game was a fluke.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Yep.
So, and then at that point, so Jay, that's fine. Like if you think that the Notre Dame game was fluky, I assume by you saying let's stop using that as the barometer, you think that was the fluky game and Jacksonville State's more indicative of what this team is and who they're going to be, which that's fine. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. Wake Forest will probably swing it there, and then we can maybe stop using Notre Dame as the barometer or use it as the barometer.
But either way, we all agree, right, Jay Blast, that Notre Dame is better than Jacksonville State by a pretty substantial margin, right? So they played Notre Dame better than they played Jacksonville State. They played with Notre Dame. They scored 38 on Notre Dame. I'm going to guess Notre Dame has more guys drafted off that defense than Jacksonville State does. And their coordinator's really good. So it was a matter of Florida State just playing horribly. We can say Notre Dame isn't a top 10 team. That's probably true. But they're a bowl team. They're an 8-win team probably. And Florida State played toe-to-toe with them and then went and lost to an average, a decent FCS team. So it's hard to use any of this as a barometer right now. And look, man, I get it. I get it with the running team, and you couldn't get a yard. You know, you're averaging, 225 yards rushing per game. You're top 30 in the country. Again, we'll see what it looks like against Wake. I think they are a good running. I certainly know they're a better running team than they are a passing team. So it feels like maybe they should embrace that more and at least try to, like, I don't know, man, hire Jamel Holloway to coach your quarterbacks and teach the option or something. Like, if you can't do this, if you can't do any better passing. But I do think they have some good running backs that is probably the strength of their offense.
Toledo's a good team too. I mean, for a group of 5 school, Toledo's, Jason Candle is one of the more enticing head coaching candidates for other programs across the country. So that wasn't a Jacksonville State they struggled against. In the wind, with 5 more doll hairs thrown our way. We'll give you a little bit of that. Give you a little bit of that in the wind. Corey, it's the logo. It's the logo. We need to seriously get signatures to change it back. I'm not superstitious, but the record does not lie. # bring back the logo.
I don't know. I don't even know how you go about doing something like that. But sure, man, start all the petitions you want. Might as well.
I'm going to try to pull this tweet up. Apparently, I think PK Sam has said something about the team with inside sources he has. So I'll see if I can find a couple people to ask us about it. So let me see if I can dig it up to kick it around before we discuss it here. But Wesley Todd says, how about Jermaine Johnson having more sacks in 2 games than the position had all of last year? Also, feed Corbin and Ward a ton this weekend to set up some play action passes and score some points. Go Noles.
Amen. That's a good recipe. I think that's what you got to do. You do have 2 pretty talented running backs, 3 really. Toafili just had a bad game, and your running backs are certainly more proven playmakers than the guys you have out wide. So you need to try to get them in space and get them, better chances to succeed, I guess.
I cannot. I don't see it on his Twitter unless I know how long ago he tweeted it. But
it was yesterday.
Was it? Oh,
yeah.
Man, I gotta go that far back. Do you know what it was? Is it worth talking about, Corey? You can punt. It's an RPO. You can reply punt. It's the option.
It's not where I don't necessarily think it's worth it, to be honest with you.
We'll keep moving then.
Yeah.
We do. We got just so many questions.
I will say this though, because that's the thing is, we've had PK Sam on the show. He did one of the war chats, the Florida game in 2003. He's from Buford, so I covered him I covered his brother in high school. But after the game, he tweeted about. I don't know if he tweeted it. I think he did. I think he tweeted about how it was ridiculous that nobody went and charged the Jacksonville State team. Why is only Travis Jay going out there to stick up for the logo after they planted the flag on it? And I tweeted back at him, look, Travis Jay was the only one out there. The rest of the team was in the locker room, and Travis Jay had to be held back by police officers essentially. Or they brought out police officers after that because I think they were legitimately worried that word would get back to the locker room and Florida State would come out. So Travis Jay had to be held back, from fighting the entire team. Like there were 6 guys in the logo, and then Travis Jay walked towards them, and then half the team. Because heaven forbid, Jacksonville State, you go back to your locker room. I mean, they were on the field for 45 minutes after the game, so their whole team was back on the field, and they all started walking towards Travis Jay, and he was about to try to take on the whole team by himself, like Tanner and Bad News Bears. So anyway, so I told PK that. And then he still kept retweeting reply, even though he knew the truth that the whole team was in the locker room. He still kept retweeting replies saying, "Yeah, that shows how soft they are, and they got no pride." And it's like, buddy, that the whole team was in the locker room. And then he retweeted another. Somebody had on TikTok a video of a Florida State kid dancing. It was a recruit, but the guy in the TikTok or the Instagram said, "This is why Florida State's losing." And it looked as if, I think the number was 14. So it looked like Sheffield was dancing before the game and taking a video of himself. It was actually a recruit. And they weren't in that jersey. They weren't in that jersey Saturday night, clearly, because they weren't on the road. They were in their garnet. And look at who the first response is underneath that. Can you?
Yeah, prime.
So again, man, I don't know. That all of that rubbed me the wrong way. Dion, I assume that's the real Dion, laughing at it. Number one, it wasn't true. Look at all the views it got. And then PK feeling the need to retweet it. I guess I don't, and it was wrong. It was fake
5
news.
minutes left for you not wanting to talk about it. I'm glad you talked about it.
Sorry, folks. Sorry, my bad. I just got that off the chest.
Gregory Moran, so if you're Jordan Travis, why do you stay? Because you're no-blooded and you have the future is yours next 2 years after here?
Look, if he doesn't play much this year, if the offense the offense might be great with McKenzie Milton, and that was just a blip. It was a bad starting point, and they might end up averaging 30 points a game, and Milton might play well. But if it looks like it did, and then you still don't get to play much, I don't know. You might not, man. It's 2021. It'll be 2022. They got a kid coming in that they really like. They got Chubba. They got Rodemaker. Maybe you feel like you're going to go elsewhere and be sure you get playing time. I don't know. There's no way that Chubba, Rodemaker, and Jordan Travis will all be on the team next year. That just doesn't happen anymore, especially with Duffy coming in.
Yeah. Andre Lamar Ransom. Jordan Travis puts himself in Houdini situations, gets out of them, then everybody thinks he's a playmaker. Stop romanticizing this kid. He's a liability.
It's a very good description. Look, whatever he has put up points. He does not play the position the way that we probably want him to play. He does not play it as well as McKenzie plays it, as far as getting it out on time, seeing what's open, and getting it there. With this offense, you saw what that did on Saturday night. You got 17 points. You got a kid dropping touchdown pass. You got another guy dropping Jordan does give you something that nobody else on the team does. You don't have a lot of playmakers. And I do think he's a playmaker. I do think he puts himself in bad situations by not seeing it quickly, and then he has to scramble and make things happen. But a lot of times he does. So I wouldn't say, look, man, they would have gone 0-9 last year without Jordan Travis. So I don't know. I think he's got some ability. I don't think his only ability is liability. I think he's actually got some ability, but I get it, man. He's certainly not. Even that game he played on Saturday night, it's not like he fills you with a lot of confidence when he's throwing it 8 yards over a guy on the sideline. Like, it's just, he's making himself hard to love. But there's some juice there, man, that he can make some plays for you, but he is not going to win you a championship. And that's old Cod Willie, old Cod OC Dub coming in. That to me is something that has to be looked at, right?
The comment on the screen is bring in Jordan Travis in the red zone. It sounds good on paper, but then it's crazy if you throw for a 46-yard completion down to the 8-yard line, and then it's like get off the field and then run them back out on the, but there's some validity to it for sure.
I just think, again, I could be completely off. I think they essentially had 3rd and goal at the 2-yard line to try to put the game away in the fourth quarter.
Essentially, that's what they had.
On 4th down, they end up throwing a fade to a freshman. If Jordan Travis is the quarterback, that's not the call. And I feel like if Jordan Travis is the quarterback against Jacksonville State, probably not Clemson, but against Jacksonville State, I think you score a touchdown if you get 2 tries from the 3-yard line. I've seen enough of it to think he'll get you in the end zone. I also, against other teams, that probably wouldn't work. I think it would have worked Saturday night. Love you, JT. I'm not giving up on you, buddy.
Nikki Willis Somerset throws $20 in a super sticker our way. Appreciate it. Their avatar says, proud to bleed garnet and gold. So.
Okay, nice.
Thank you very much. I can't see what it looks like, but the people I'm sure on YouTube.com can see it. Our guy in Hawaii, Ralph, says, Corey, could you, if he wants me to ask you, if the first ladies of Warchant tried and enjoyed the beverages he gifted them?
I know Stephanie has and enjoyed it. I think she only had one glass of it. Shanna, I don't know. I haven't talked to her about it. I'll ask her the next time I see her, though, Ralph. I promise. And it was greatly appreciated either way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Nikki. David Rowe, is Deloach out for the first half? Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So Norvell said that they were splitting up reps. They were using him in practice like they would in a game, meaning he's not getting all the reps he would normally get because they're giving his backup, whoever that they determine that to be, as many reps as he's getting because he can't play. He's only going to be able to play half the snaps because he is out the first half because of that awesome targeting rule that we love so much.
This guy keeps deciding the second time he's asked this, like in different weeks. So Kayvon wants to know if Ira is going to shave his head to complete the trilogy of bald.
Somebody asked that on headlines, and no, he will not. And I even put it out there.
Don't, Ira. Do not. Stand strong, man.
I was like, Ira, what if you shaving your head meant that Florida State would win 7 or 8 games this year, even after the 0-2 start? He said, nope, he's not doing it. So, again, that shows you how much Ira cares. I did it. You think this could be a full bushel of hair if I wanted to, but I'm trying to change luck around here.
Get down or lay down's back.
Yeah, man.
Keep throwing money at us. Appreciate it. It says, love you guys. I'm trying to earn my spot on the pillar. I live in Colorado, so it's tough to get the tally. But if I do, White Claws and Ultras will be coming with me.
Nice. That's all we can ask for.
It is all we can ask for. Thanks, man. We really do appreciate it, man. Seriously. It's, nobody wants to listen to this nonsense. Nobody wants to be following an 0-2 team, but, we're here. Sun came up. We're trying.
Well, and you know what, man? And this is going to sound kind of romantic. The reason that I have confidence, truly, the reason I have confidence that Florida State will get back is because of this, because of the amount of interest that is still in Warchant, that is still in this program, that's all these people watching it and commenting on it. It would be very, very easy to be completely apathetic about what's gone on here the last 4 or 5 years. And that will happen if they lose more and more games this year, but only to an extent, because there is a passion for this program that, that should, because of the location, because of the potential, because of the recruiting base, that should always keep them relevant if they have the right coach. I just think it kind of warms your cockles a little bit that I thought there might be 4 people watching us tonight. But no, and look, some of it is anger. I get it. But it's also you care about your team. You care about your university. We all do. We all grew up with this thing. We all want to see us succeed. And, so that's really encouraging that there's still some – I know any emotion, in my opinion, right now is better than apathy. Anger, anger, depression, it's all better than just apathy. I was going to say happiness, but who in the world is happy besides the Miami fans? So yeah, I mean, that's a very good sign that, in my opinion, that there's still so much hope and emotion and passion about this program. And that's not going to go away, because if it was going to go away, it would have gone away by now.
Well said, Corey. Well said. Carol Palalis, goofed that up. I apologize, Carol. I'm just going to call you C. Murda. Who do you think will end up being our best receiver and have a breakout game against Wake, making McKenzie happier for sure? Ira was talking to me about this during practice, and he was like, what would you put the over-under on, like, big splash game from Andrew Parchment? He's like, are you at the point where you're hoping that he's just going to give you one of those games that he had in 2019 at Kansas? How about him? I mean, listen, there's nobody at practice this week that has gone out there and taken the bull by the horns and caught every passer on their direction and just freaked dudes out on the perimeter. There hasn't been any of that stuff. There hasn't been a lot of good passes either, to be a little bit fair too. So everybody's playing their part in keeping this thing from climbing to its heights. But Andrew Parchment's probably, I think, health-wise, I think Pokey's obviously a little bit banged up. So you talk about seniority, has the resume that's done it before. And, I'll go with Andrew Parchment on that. Break out, man. Give us just one game. If just roar like a lion Saturday, bro. Please.
Malik McLean. I'm not. Maybe I'll come around on Parchment. Maybe he'll have some big games and I don't know, just look the part more. But I'm not. I'm more sold on Malik McLean right now than I am Andrew Parchment after 2 games, small sample size, but some practices as well. I'm more sold, and I get the feeling the coaches might be too on Malik McClain than Andrew Parchment.
All right, let's.
But hey, maybe they both have 100-yard days. How'd that be? How'd that taste?
I wonder when that last time that's happened.
Probably when Winky was the quarterback.
Yeah. We'll wind things down here. Take a couple last ones on our way out here. We've hit about the hour mark. Lowell Hunter, I pulled this up because I've seen like 2 or 3 threads on the Tribal Council of Warchant.com. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to that. If you don't want to spend the money, okay, that's cool. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's free. Do hit the thumbs up. I haven't bothered you guys about that, but please do hit the thumbs up. It's a difference maker. It helps the climb, but we need some better, shorter routes. What about slants? I've seen a bunch of people. I mean, I'll pull up the threads maybe, and I can see what people keep asking about slants. All they did was run short routes against Jacksonville State. No,
yeah, but they were all just basically stop routes out wide. It was just the corner was playing, 12 yards back, and so they'd run a 4-yard stop, get tackled 4 yards or 5 yards from line of scrimmage, and that was the play. They weren't running a lot of stuff in the middle of the field. So, I agree with you, man. They need a lot of everything. They need some better everything when it comes to those routes. They need to be run better. They need to be, when they're there, they need to be caught. But yeah, they're not doing a ton of stuff in the middle of the field. So yeah, slant, to me, anything would be better than what we saw Saturday night. So hopefully that'll come into play.
I will say there's been a couple things that I have seen at practice, despite that Debbie Downer of a comment I made about 39 seconds ago. There have been some things that, if those were your concerns, they've been working on that in practice, especially on Wednesday. So we can hope that they've learned their lesson. It was Calusinol who's asking about slants after hearing what Kenny said in the post game, and he just says he remembers yelling at the television. At least that's what his wife says. Throw slants, they're high percentage completions, build confidence in your quarterback, and they're easier for the offensive line to block. And we have athletes that can make yak. Am I missing something? I
think the answer underneath just that one sentence isn't a lie either. I don't know why every fan thinks not every fan, but thinks slants are a gimme. It is a tough throw. It can be a very tough throw. And you're usually covered a little tighter than the guy that's the corner out wide that's 10 yards off you. It can be a tougher throw to catch. And there's typically more risk because if it's deflected, if it gets knocked down at the line or knocked up in the air at the line, if the guy gets a hand on it, there's a linebacker right there. There's more risk to it, but you've got to exploit the middle of the field one way or the other. You can't just keep throwing out wide and just not leave anything for the middle of the field. So they might be running them and they're just not open. That's a possibility too. Like I haven't seen the all 22, but they might be running plenty of slants and posts and in routes that just aren't open for one reason or another.
Mark in Naples says that he loves his Maryland's going to be a problem shirt. UMass could be a problem t-shirt coming next.
They're all a problem. It's like the Bowden line when he took the job. Like when he was at Alabama, it was beat Auburn. When he was at West Virginia, it was beat Pitt. And when he got to Florida State, it was beat anybody. Those were the bumper stickers. So we're not, well, I was going to say that we are there, but it might be Wake, baby. Wake might be the first one to go down, the first of many this year. And so I am writing a column about FBS schools that have lost to FCS schools the last 20 years, Power 5. A lot of Duke in there, some Virginia sprinkled in, but 2016 was Matt Campbell's first year at Iowa State. They went 3-9 and lost to an FCS school. I can't remember who it was. Probably one of the Dakotas. Forgive me. Iowa lost to an FCS school that year as well, but it was the number one FCS school in the country. But either way, Iowa State went 3-9 Matt Campbell's first year with a loss to that team. But you could look at Iowa State's schedule in 2016 and see
Northern Iowa.
Okay, but they lost 9 games, but they started playing a lot better after that. Like legitimately, they lost some close games. They lost to Texas by a couple scores. They lost to Oklahoma by like 10. They won some games at the end of the year. They might have beaten a ranked team somewhere in there. Like it was a 3-9 season, but it was not an ugly 3-9 season. But especially considering they had lost to an FCS school, and then the next year they went 8-5, and then the year after that they're a top 20, top 15 type program. It's not a death knell to lose to an FCS school. If like in that moment in that season, Iowa State showed some life and rebounded from it. That's what you want to see here. Florida State is not going to have a special magical year this year, but there can be signs of life that give you hope for 2022. And yes, folks, I just compared Florida State to Iowa State. What are you going to do? It's where we are. What are you going to do? But there can be hope even after disastrous FCS loss to come back and have a decent season after the later on in the year. So yeah, they went 0-3.
Yeah.
Their first game was a 25-20 loss to Northern Iowa. That was Matt Campbell's first game. Now it was the number 5 FCS team in the country. Then they got housed by Iowa 42-3 and 41-20. But then start looking like they lost to number 13 Baylor 45-42. They lost at Oklahoma State 38-31.
It's Iowa State, man. We're not playing. We're not here for.
No, but my point is they started to get better. And again, this was the season that turned that program around. That was that season. And it started with an FCS loss. Now, again, you're not winning 8 games this year, but you think about how Iowa State fans felt at the end of that season after the way it started. Like, oh man, old buddy's a pretty good coach. He only lost to Oklahoma by 7. So hopefully this turns into that. And Mike Norvell is even better than Matt Campbell. He can beat his rivals, and they can win multiple championships here.
There's Stephanie. That's Corey's girlfriend, y'all. She says, "Thank you, Ralph. It was delicious." All caps, 3 exclamation points.
And she's a Browns fan. She's actually going to the Browns-Bears game, not this weekend, but next weekend. So she was not happy with the way that game ended on Sunday, clearly. But hey, man, that's where we are. Iowa State. You could be. Again, it's just the season isn't over. I know probably if you've listened to me the last 4 days, it probably sounds like it is. It is not. This team can rebound. I can guarantee it's more talented than that Iowa State team was.
Be more constructive with your feedback, Robert. Be more constructive with your feedback. I don't know.
That's an old school Flight of the Conchords reference.
Yeah, he wants me to make my mind up about something. If he gave me an option A, option B, I would. Briley wants to know, guys, have we heard anything about the mood in the locker room? Mackenzie said they're doing all right, but that's, I think Mackenzie, if they weren't, I think Mackenzie would say something, man. I do like Mackenzie. Mackenzie, he's got 0 Fs in him, man. He's got 0 Fs to give. So,
well, and look, man, what if you were in a locker room of a team that went 0-2 and just lost to an FCS school? It probably is not the most fun place to be right now.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can judge a program about how they handle a loss to an FCS school in the moment. We'll see. We'll see how. It's much more telling how they play on Saturday than whatever's being said in a locker room, in my opinion.
Paul Bonicatti.
Yeah, how about that? I completely forgot about that.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all, Paul. That's why we haven't talked about it. He asked, why isn't anybody talking about Amari Gaynor whiffing on a slam dunk safety? Probably another play that wins the game. I don't recall that. When did
the 65-yard punt that our dog Mastromano had right-footed, that Deloach saved at the 1-yard line and batted back.
Oh, okay.
Their first play, they just get in the shotgun and drop back. Gaynor comes scot-free, just off the edge, not even touched by the tackle. And I was telling Ira this, the quarterback didn't even look concerned at all. Just kind of did this. And Gaynor flew by him, barely got a hand on him. And then he threw it. I think it might have been incomplete. I don't remember, but he's right. It was a straight up made for a safety. It was a made for safety play, and Gaynor didn't even come close to tackling him. And he came scot-free, just bounced off him.
Patrick Morris wants to know on my top button on my polo's button.
Oh yeah, I should do that.
Part of the Illuminati. It's my homage to Walt Bell. Walt always dreams in my memories, man. Just got done wrong, man. It wasn't right what happened to you, Walt. I'll never
that's right.
Here. We're wrapping things up. Slyest Carpenter just throws $10 with a super sticker.
Thank you.
Slyest? Is that Slyest?
That seems that's probably right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's pretty much about it. Carol said I pronounced her last name correctly. That's awesome. All right. We can use that. We'll go off on a high note then. We'll build off that momentum that I said.
You did it, Aslan. You did it.
Correctly, finally. All right. So we are done then. But warchant.com never finished. Jeff Cameron show returns. Well, he returned earlier today. Headlines is on Tuesday. But Jeff's going 1 to 3 for you on Thursday and Friday. Warchant report should be up probably in the morning for you folks on Thursday, and it's pretty much a headlines reunion. It's Ira, Corey, and Jeff talking about the Jacksonville State game, making their picks for the Wake Forest game. We won't give you Corey's pick yet. You got to watch a Warchant report for that. Pre-game show that goes down Saturday. Post-game show, obviously 10 minutes after kickoff. We'll have another show for you folks on Friday. This is your Thursday podcast after all. But thank you for watching us on this Wednesday night live on YouTube. If you could, please hit that thumbs up on the way out. We certainly would appreciate it. Corey, you want to just flash some deuces, maybe create some good vibes for us?
I love you guys. Stay strong. Stay with us. We're getting through this together. I promise.